On today's podcast, it seems that the NBA has been taken by storm by international players coming in the NBA as young players in their careers, putting up big numbers and winning multiple awards. How have they changed the way the NBA has been played? All that will be covered today in Cooper's Sports Podcast. And you are now listening to Cooper Sports Podcast. I'm your host, Cooper Brooks, bringing you the best content from the NBA and NFL each podcast, wherever you may be listening to from Spotify or YouTube. Thank you for joining. Alright, today is episode 9, and today we're going to be covering a very niche topic. It's on the NBA, but it's not like any breaking news or any talks about certain teams. It's to talk about something that's been on my mind for the past couple of days that I've been wanting to talk about on the podcast here, and that is international players. And what I mean by that is different players from different countries that have come from all over the world and come to the United States of America to here play in the NBA. And that's what I'm here to talk about. How international players have taken the league by storm in the most recent years and how it's changed. So let's think of some NBA international players. When we think of NBA international players, we think of names like Luka Doncic, Nikola Jokic, Joel Embiid, Rudy Gobert, Giannis, Tony Parker, Manu Ginobili, Tim Duncan, Dirk Nowitzki, all those other guys. There's plenty more, but I'm just throwing out names. NBA international players have taken this league by storm in the recent years and in today as they play. It's been a crazy turnaround on how international players have joined the league. As y'all know, the past 4 MVPs, including this year, have been won by an international player, which this past season, 2021-2022 season, it was Nikola Jokic. Last year in 2020 and 2021 season, it was Nikola Jokic again. And then the 2 seasons before that, it was Giannis Antetokounmpo winning back-to-back NBA MVPs. And Rudy Gobert before this last Defensive Player of the Year award, which was Marcus Smart this past season. Before that, Rudy and Giannis won the last 4. They both tied for the last 4 of Defensive Player of the Years. So you could already tell that the NBA international players coming from overseas has changed a lot in the recent years. It amazes me how much these players have, because when you see them play overseas, it's different. But when they get over here in the NBA, they have a whole different play style and play with how they play the game. Back early in the 2000s and 90s, I want to say maybe, there was times where USA basketball or even the NBA, some of these NBA veterans would go play overseas and play these different countries, and they sometimes get beaten down and battered by them. One example is Dirk Nowitzki lit up a hole when he was playing overseas at first, starting his career before he got to the NBA here in the United States of America. He was balling up against NBA players when they went over there to where he was playing in Germany, and he just lit them up. He had a sensational performance. And it's funny because Charles Barkley did not like that, I think. I think that's when he got respect for Dirk, I think, because Charles Barkley was talking a little trash, saying how he didn't like that, I think. I can't remember what it was. But that just shows you international players, how they've taken the league by force. They're such a big impact. Luka Doncic, I'm a Mavs fan. Luka Doncic is somebody that I really enjoy watching. Even as a Mavs fan, I enjoy him playing. Not just because his name is Luka Doncic, but because Luka Doncic brings so much to that Mavs team, and his play style and the way it's different from when he plays in Slovenia, and it's different from when he plays in the NBA. Right now, he's in Slovenia he's playing Slovenia men's basketball over there, so they're doing their tournaments and stuff. But still, if you look at Luka's numbers for the past 4 years, going into his fifth year, but for the past 4 years in his career, it's been insane. He's the young one. Think ranks top 10, top 5 maybe in youngest players to score 5K in a career to fastest 5K. Nikola Jokic winning back-to-back NBA MVPs, carrying that Nugget squad through the playoffs, even though he got bounced 4-1, but still. When Jamal Murray got taken out, he was basically just he was carrying that squad. He was lifting that young Nuggets team on his back and be like, hey, this is what we're gonna do. Nikola Jokic, his numbers through the past few years have been insane. And I know there's still that argument between who should have won MVP this year, Nikola or Embiid. It's pretty tough, but Nikola, the way that he plays basketball and the way that he was able to just carry that Nugget squad is just beyond my mind. And again, his numbers proved it. Due to his averaging like over 30 points, I think, every year, or no, past 2 years, averaging at least almost 30, while also carrying that Nugget squad on his back. Joel Embiid won the league scoring title this past season. Was one of the guys that should have that was thought to win MVP over Jokic. Even though he didn't win MVP, Embiid had a monstrous season this year. Embiid was an insane man. Joel Embiid this year was something else. He was different from last year. Joel Embiid this year averaged, if I can remember how much he averaged, it was, I have it right here, 30.6. So he averaged 36.6 per game with 11.7 rebounds. And I'm going to be honest with you guys, Joel Embiid's shooting has improved much better. And not just because Harden's been there, but his shooting has changed a lot. His mid-range is getting better. His 3-points are getting a lot better. Mid-range is like that. So, with shooting like that, with Embiid shooting, I think he'll be a dominant center. He already is, but in the years to come, he's a dominant center. He'll be a more dominant center. I just like how he plays styles and the way he plays. I think if he keeps it up, he'll win a title. But we'll see how Harden likes to jack around and mess up in the playoffs. But you can go check out how much I talk about Harden in episode 6, I believe, whatever, about opt-ins and opt-outs. But another player I want to get into is Giannis Antetokounmpo, another current NBA player right now. Giannis Antetokounmpo, I like him. I like his play style. I love him. Like, dude, how could you not hate him? You know, last year was his first ever finals win, his first ever finals appearance, and he proved a lot to get there. And he came back. He came back last year, guys. Last year in the playoffs when he played the Hawks, he came back to the finals. He came back from a hyperextended knee injury, where he hyperextended his knee. So it was pretty banged up. So nobody knew if he was going to play at all in the finals. But that man recovered. He worked his butt off, and he got himself a chip. He was down 0-2 in the finals, won the next 4 games. So that's what I'm thinking. I'm like, dude, Giannis is a beast, okay? If you see the way how he drives on the inside and just runs through anybody and just bulldozes them, and the last time I seen someone do something like that was Shaq, but I never saw Shaq play, or at least I can remember until he retired. But actually, I don't remember. I was probably too young, like a baby, to remember how Shaq played, but I've seen highlights. But still, Giannis pushing through different bodies, even guys that is big as almost him, he's still pushing through them and getting to the bucket. And his shooting, too, has improved very much. As y'all saw last year, he was getting much hate for his free throws taking forever. But then this year it progressed. The free throws worked a lot. His free throws improved and his 3-point improved a little. His field goal percentage has gone up. And this past year in the playoffs, he was giving you 30 and 40s each game. Like, that's just Giannis Antetokounmpo. And his supporting cast with the young Jrue. Here's the thing about Jrue Holiday. I've always loved Jrue Holiday. Jrue Holiday is the guy that I've liked since the Pelicans. And when he got traded from the Pelicans, I was like, oh, man. But then when he went to the Bucks, I was like, okay, I like it. I've always liked Jrue Holiday. Chris Middleton, always deadly mid-ranger. I think he's one of my favorite mid-rangers this year when it comes to the clutch shots. Like, dude is absolutely insane when it comes to the mid-range clutch shots. But, yeah, the supporting cast that Giannis has around him and what he does, I think is great. Who else is out there currently right now in international? There's a lot more to name, but those are just a few of the current. And my man, those are just from these are like the current ones right now. My man Dirk Nowitzki, my man Dirk has made an impact in the NBA too. He stayed all 21 years with the league with his. Wait, no, I'm sorry. Did I mention Tim Duncan as an international player? Oh my gosh, excuse me, Tim Duncan. I think Tim Duncan is actually from America, if I'm corrected. Yes, he is. He was okay. He was born in the Virgin Islands, so yes, he's technically he is an American. He was born in the U.S. Virgin Islands. He's an American. That's where I'll be going this summer, actually, in a couple of weeks on a family trip. Can't wait. But Dirk Nowitzki also has impacted a lot in the NBA, and he's impacted the game as well. I think Dirk's little step back, 1 footer where he gets on plants 1 foot and then puts his other foot up, knee, whatever. Dirk's move. It's a pretty good move, and if you also maybe think that Steph Curry changed the game with his 3-pointing, I think maybe Dirk Nowitzki changed the game of basketball with how big men shoot the ball like that. Because if you see, even Luka does it. Luka's like 6'7", he does it, and Dirk's taller than him. But Dirk's move was so good that even other players like today and even in the past have used it because of how good it is. You just step back, you take that dribble, plant your foot, lift up that knee, and just shoot it. Like, that's a good move. I even do it when I go out and play basketball with my friends, or I even practice it. That's how much Dirk Nowitzki has also, I believe, impacted the NBA because of that one move. And that's how a lot of big men use his shooting form today. And not just big men. I've seen guards do it before. I think I've seen certain amount of guards in the past do it too. But still, that's also another impact. Someone like Tony Parker and Manu Ginobili, they won many titles together. Oh, there's also another big name that I also want to mention later on in the podcast. I don't know if it's international. If he's an international player, I think he is, but he's one of my favorite centers of all time. I know y'all probably know who I'm talking about. But no, Tony Parker and Manu Ginobili also have. Yeah, he is an international player. Okay, but Tony Parker and Manu Ginobili, that duo together in San Antonio was pretty incredible. They won a few chips. They put up some huge career numbers. And I just admire their game as well as international players because of the way they played basketball. Tony Parker is your guard. Ginobili is your shooting forward that got you a lot of points when it mattered. That's what I like. That's what I like about that. That's why I think the international players have taken this league by storm, because in the recent years you've seen how many people have changed this league. And here's another guy I cannot forget about. He's also a center. He didn't play much in his career, but he's still. I don't know if he's considered an international player, but he's someone from a different country that I think really was also a great player internationally, and that his name is Yao Ming. I don't know if y'all can hear that song because of this mic. I don't know if it was able to pick it up, but you know what I mean. Yao Ming was sensational. The dude was like 7 foot tall. If you try to you probably have to body him just to get the ball away from him. Like when I play against him in 2K, it's terrible. I have to put 2 guys on him just to take him down. But still, Yao Ming was sensational. His career's cut short due to an injury, I think, or just injuries in general. But he put up numbers somewhat, but still, he was a tall dude, and he was somebody that I think if he kept playing was going to be amazing. Obviously, he didn't win a chip, but still. And here's another player that really comes to my mind that I really love. And that person is the one that I mentioned just a minute ago. His name is Hakeem Olajuwon. I think is one of the greatest centers of all time. Not the one of the greatest centers of all time. You guys gotta understand, when it comes to Hakeem Olajuwon, I love Hakeem. I probably mentioned Hakeem a lot, about centers most often. Hakeem was different back in his prime. When Hakeem first got here in the league, when Hakeem first got in the league in the NBA, it was 84. Hakeem was 2 picks, by the way, before Michael Jordan. Hakeem was the first pick of the draft in Michael Jordan's draft by the Houston Rockets from the University of Houston, which was back in 1984. But Hakeem Olajuwon, when he won back-to-back titles, I don't know if y'all know, but his stats were incredible. Like, dude put up numbers. There's just one big game. There's this one big game that Hakeem had back in 95 against the Spurs back in Game 6 against reigning MVP David Robinson. It was a 39 points, 17 rebounds, and however many blocks, 5 blocks, I think. It was an insane game. That game, I go back and watch that replay of that game and of highlights of it, and I think, wow, Hakeem was a monster. Hakeem almost won, I think, he almost had the perfect season by winning MVP, Defensive Player of the Year, Finals MVP, NBA MVP, I think. But still, Hakeem took that by storm. Hakeem was a shot blocker, and he could shoot from the 3 in the mid-range. If you go back, I've seen highlights of Hakeem shooting from the mid-range, and dude, and I gotta tell you guys, the way Hakeem just pushed through that court, like, it was amazing. He was a fast center too. Hakeem had good pace. I watched again as I go back to highlights of him. Hakeem had a good Hakeem had real good footwork. I can't forget that. Hakeem had great footwork, and he had good pace, which allowed him to run down the court each time and just block a shot. If you see his shot blocking highlights, they're insane. He just high jump and levitate, and it was amazing. But that's what I think about international players. That I know there's more NBA international players out there. There's guys like even Kristaps, which on the Mavs didn't do much for us. There's more out there, I know, but I just can't remember. But those are like some big names that I can think of that have impacted the game. All right, well, with that all said, with this short podcast, I didn't have much else to say. This is a short podcast, but again, thank you for listening. You're listening to Cooper Sports Podcast. Again, this is episode 9. Please share this with others. Keep it coming, guys. I kept hearing about people sharing this with other people, and they've figured out about me. So the followers are growing and subscribers are growing. So without further ado, I'm Cooper Brooks, host of Cooper Sports Podcast. Thank you for listening.